and it's not government funded station.
I'm not saying it's government funded, it's a private station, but those who run it, upper management, media management, the journalists, the hosts of the different political shows are known to sympathize and to share a Republican agenda. From this perspective, they represent a very particular point of view. Because Mr. Petrov, during the war
I'm sure that after the elections in November in the States, no matter who is going to be next president, Fox News is going to follow the new president.
I don't know, but Fox News will present a particular Republican point of view. They aspire to this particular point of view. There is nothing wrong with that. I'm not criticizing that.
And you know that.
And but during times of war, a private company or private money that are political money, they come from segments of society that support the government or Republican agenda or big business, launch a network to represent their point of view. Because the vice president will give interview only at Fox. The statesman of the United States will speak or comment only on Fox. So it becomes something like the baby of the government. I'm trying to say there are different ways to influence public opinion, and there are various very creative ways for governments to get to say what they want and to sustain their power.
Lots of people were feeling that they couldn't do what technology allowed them to do because of intellectual property. Suddenly you had all these laymen, people who were not lawyers, who had never thought in terms of intellectual property. They all had to think about what they can do without violating the law, and it turned out they can do very little in terms of creating derivative works, in terms of using other people's work, in terms of distributing culture. So, as a reaction to these limitations, this professor, who was the leading attorney in Eldred versus Ashcroft, created the Creative Commons licenses, registered foundation, the Creative Commons Corporation, which is a non-profit organization, and created the Creative Commons licenses. They are
Excuse me, what is the name of the professor?
Lawrence Lessig. It is spelled Lawrence-Lessig. Lawrence Lessig. He is tremendously popular in the area of free culture, or one of the gurus of free culture indeed. These licenses, they were not a denial of intellectual property. They were stepping on the intellectual property and saying, okay, under the general rules of intellectual property, the author reserves all rights. However, the author may also choose if he or she has other beliefs, if he wants to make her work, she wants to make her work available to a wide community of people. They may choose to state to the world that they allow people to use their works in a variety of ways, retaining only a small part of the rights that the law provides them with. So this is how the Creative Commons licenses came to being, and they have been a huge success. Right now, a huge amount of the bloggers all over the world, the most popular bloggers certainly use the Creative Commons license. There are lots of net labels that use the Creative Commons license and that provide an environment for musicians who want to make available their works to as large amount of people. As you see, any free software allows commercial use and allows derivative works, which is indeed what makes the free software such an idealistic idea, because it allows the users of free software to build on other people's achievements, on the achievements of those who came before them. So the free software proponents said that the Creative Commons licenses, noble as they may sound, And no matter how much they emphasize their connection to the ideals of the free software movement, are not so idealistic, because you may choose a very restricted type of license. You may choose a license that prohibits commercial use. You may choose a license that prohibits derivative works. Therefore, the free software movement felt that the Creative Commons licenses were too pragmatic, too much of a legal tool, a creation of lawyers who wanted indeed to create more options for the authors, but were not ready to go over. However, later on, due to lobbying by one of the great friends of Creative Commons, Gilberto Gil, the Brazilian musician, who is also their Minister of Culture, as it happens to be. He's a great friend of Creative Commons, and he said very often, in order to make musicians don't want others to use their work, to copy and distribute their work, but they are very prepared to let others just make derivatives, just make cover versions. So he lobbied for the creation of yet another license, the sampling license. And this license allowed for, it prohibited even non-commercial use of the work as is. But it said you can create cover versions. And they also created the Developing Nations license, which allowed all these rights only in developing nations. And this really outraged the Free Software Foundation. They said here, even more restrictive licenses. With these licenses, even you forbid even non-commercial distribution. And they still desire to learn from and build upon the example of the free software movement. Creative Commons sets no defined limits and promises no freedoms, no rights, and no fixed qualities. Free software's success is built upon an ethical position. CC sets no such standard. So it says you have no ethical position. When you started, you at least always allowed free, non-commercial distribution. Even now, you are now ready, because of some lobbying, because of Gilberto Gil, because of this, because of that, to limit. So much so that really there was a breakup between the two movements, between the Creative Commons movement and the Free Software movement. This caused Creative Commons to become really concerned, and in 2007 they retired these two licenses. They gave them up. They publicly came out and said that because of the ethical criticisms that they have received, they're ready to give up these licenses. So you see, all these criticisms I have chosen to acquaint you with, because they are all related to this idealistic position of, listen, you're about freedom, you're about free culture, and yet there was an American girl, Alison Chang, as far as I remember. A friend of her made photos of her and uploaded them on Flickr. And some time later, an advertisement company which was making the advertisement campaign for Virgin Mobile Australia found this picture, deleted the logo of Adidas that was on the girl's hat, deleted some extra people that were on the picture and that were not necessary, added a slogan that was presenting the girl as a loser, sort of. Because this was within the advertisement concept of the company. They said, now with our free mobile package you can drop your pen friend